So what is seller's property disclosure? Today, I'm going to show you what it is, when to use it, what's included in that form, and why this is one of the main reasons why property owners, the home sellers, actually get sued after selling their property. Hey, welcome back to Shawn Realty podcast. My name is Shawn Yu from Portland, Oregon. So I'm going to share the consumer guide version of the seller's disclosure, some FAQs, and I'll actually show you what the state of Oregon property disclosure looks like, what's included in there, and how we practice the disclosure in Oregon. So what are sellers disclosures? Seller disclosures are certain material defects that any element, a home that may have negatively impact its value. So the seller must disclose this to the buyers in document. And it says something about it could be different between the states and local laws, but it basically says typically anything like completed repairs, information about natural hazards such as like flood zone or like a landslide, any known facts, property defects, any missing essentials, meaning like missing utilities or not working utilities, land use limitations, such as you're not supposed to build here, you're not supposed to run commercial, that type of things, HOA guidance, that's on the property, and any other conditions that might negatively impact property's value. And so this is where talking to your local real estate agent is going to be really important, because for example, there's certain things in Oregon, as far as I know, the debts on the property is not something that we disclose unless they're asked. The law could change, but that's not the case. But in some states, this may be required. So property disclosure form can be, very different. But if you just simplify it, anything that would affect its home value needs to be disclosed in this form to the buyers. That's the main goal. So once the buyer sees what's wrong with the house, does buyer still want to buy that property? So in this example, you're supposed to give and then the buyers decide based on that. But in Oregon, the disclosure phase is really like most likely, after buyer submits an offer, and then we get 5 business days of property disclosure period. Sellers are required to give that, and then we have 5 business days for the buyers to read, review, reject, or accept. There's no counter here. So if they reject, that means the offer is canceled. If they accept the property condition, then we go into the property inspection phase. So why are the seller disclosure important? Seller disclosures are important because they help protect both buyers and the sellers. The disclosures allow buyers to choose whether they want to make an offer, right? In some states, that's the case. And can influence the offer amount. For sellers, disclosure can help protect them from legal liability, meaning they will not be responsible for any issues that arise on the property after the sale, as long as it was previously disclosed. So in this case, the more you disclose as a seller, the better, as long as you know about it. That's, I think, in my opinion, key point. If you don't know about it, how can you disclose it, right? But the problem happens when they don't disclose something that they know. That's when you get a lawsuit. I had to deal with it once before, and in this case, the seller didn't know anything about it because her past husband knew about the information, but seller really didn't know anything because her husband took care of everything. So in this case, it's kind of tricky situation, really. And this is where if seller has information, let's say hypothetically, they had a roof leak and they hired a roofer they repaired it, they put a new roof, and let's say, but then the roofer didn't do a good job. They left some, dry rods in the roof joist or something like that. And then later on, the buyers, after buying it, they found it out. But going back to the fact that the seller had a roof leak, if the seller didn't say yes, we had a roof leak, if seller said no on the roof leak, it can get pretty messy. I mean, the buyers could sue the seller and the roofer. Who knows what could happen? And this is when things go wrong, things go wrong really fast, really bad. So now, which defects, if any, need to be disclosed? Well, this is where you need to talk to your local realtors, because I think this is state dependent. While it's not required, you can also conduct a home inspection before listing. This is called a pre-home inspection, meaning the seller can do the home inspection before they put it on the market and basically disclose or fix anything that they found during the pre-home inspection. There's a pros and cons. I mean, I'll have to make a separate video about this because there are so many different variables that can play into this. If you uncover possible issues that may appear during a buyer's inspection, you'll have time to make any necessary changes that could impact home asking price, as well as the defects you may need to disclose depending on state law. So this is, talking about the pre-inspection. What if there are no defects that need to be disclosed? A seller can state that there's no material defects on the property. However, even if you're unsure as to whether potential defects needs to be disclosed, it's best practice to disclose it to avoid potential legal liabilities in the future. This is what I just talked about. The more disclosed, the better. When do material defects need to be disclosed? In most states, seller disclosures are often required before the buyer signs a binding contract of a sale, and some sellers choose to disclose as early as a home tour. However, sellers should check with the state and local guidance as conditions vary by states. So in this case, in Oregon, we're not really required before tour or before making an offer. It's like I said, as long as, after the offer accepted, it's okay in Oregon. Or it can be before, during the marketing time too. Some agents put that on MLS so that buyers can see. What happens if a material defect about the property is not disclosed? So this is a tricky one. If a seller knowingly withholds information regarding a required seller's disclosure, there may be a legal consequences. A buyer could cancel the sale, or the seller could be legally liable. Sellers should be honest with any and all details they are required to disclose about the home. So let me show you what it looks like in Oregon form. Sorry, I didn't change that. That's terrible. So you were just looking at the small screen the whole time. I apologize. But I'm not going to go back and re-record the good information that I put in. So here's the Oregon form. So basically it says whether this is exemption portion, if it's like a brand new home or REO, that type of thing. You don't add that. But from here and on, basically seller is whether occupying or not, and then it goes to the seller's representation. That's the portion, the main portion of the property disclosure form. It talks about the title, if there's any issues with the title, any easements, any pending litigation, governmental assessments, the zoning, was there any HOA, the CNR, and then it goes to the water rights, whether there's like a well or city rights, permits, irrigation, the sprinkler system, going to the sewage system, whether it's like city or its own tank, built, permits, any alterations that are dwelling insulation, dwelling structure, systems and fixtures, all the utilities, all the common interest. Let's see, any HOA fees, what's included, and any seismic issues, anything, general problem, the soil, bunch of stuff. As you can see, there's so many things that yes or no or unknown the sellers have to disclose, and if you can't explain everything here, you have a separate page that you have to make the explanation, and then they sign, basically saying that they basically disclose everything that they know, and then this gets delivered to the buyer before or after getting the offer or getting accepted on an offer. So as I mentioned, this is one of the reasons why I think most home sellers get sued in Oregon, as far as I know. And if you're for sale by owner and not knowing about this could be an issue, because, well, I'm not going to talk about that because this is like a legal territory. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to talk about that. But the only thing I'm going to say is that for sale by owners should know about this and let the buyers know as much as they can as well. You know, that's the best practice. So hope that this helps you to understand what the seller's disclosure is. And you as a home seller, you have, if you put a head of a buyer, and if you're a home buyer, what are the things that you would love to know about? Just go ahead and share that. And if you know anything negative about the house, go ahead and share that. The more you share, the more protection you will have, because buyers at that point know about those issues. They can't really sue you for that. So I hope this is helpful. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day.